This is Wake the F Up podcast.
F is for fabulous.
I'm Andy Dooley.
And I'm Kat Torres. Wake the F Up is all about celebrating the great drama of life, the beauty and the brutality. And
tapping into your true divinity, your creativity, because you are the universe pretending to be human.
It's fabulous. The whole idea is to get free, right?
Oh yeah, we are live.
Welcome to the present moment and Wake the F Up with Dooley and Torres. F is for fabulous. How are you, Doolster?
I am beautiful and amazing, Kat. How are you?
Oh my God, you are. Thank you for knowing that. I'm excellent too, Andy. Yes, I'm excellent indeedy, Nefertiti. I love today's topic.
Yes, manifesting stories to inspire you, because you can hear all the do this technique and don't do this technique. And I think it's just so powerful when you hear just stories from other people and how they manifested, because it just opens you up, puts you in the driver's seat of like you're living the experience as we're telling the story. And it's a powerful way to shift your energy and vibe.
Yeah, it's this is where like the juicy bits come into play, because I mean a lot of people come to this work, you know, law of attraction, personal development, mindset, spiritualisms, you know, we come to these practices because we want to know that we can create reality, that we can influence reality, that we are in fact in the driver's seat, and that we can create beautiful things using thought alone. And so, you know, the manifesting stories is really where it's at. So I'm really excited today to share like a big fat tale, and I'm sure you've got a handful of your own there, Mr. Doolster.
Yeah, I've got a list of some stories to share, and I know you've got a really great story. You know, we refer to it as the van story. Tell us about the van story, Kat.
It was a full moon and a starry night, and I was in a bit of a situation, Andy, because I just ended a 10-year relationship. And so no matter which way you look at that, that is just a heavy moment. And even though I knew it was the right thing to do, my heart was heavy, man. This is my best friend. How could I do this to this person? But, you know, I didn't just knowing that life was trying to breathe me into a new space, a new grace, you know. And so I decided to end this relationship. That evening, my task was to drive 8 hours towards the Australian desert to participate in a glorious festival in Queensland. So I got in the car and I packed up all the things, and I was getting ready to go to this festival to really like sort of reboot my now, to really set the tone of a new unfolding. And you know, so I packed the car with all my festival stuff. I had my fire spinning stuff, my stilt walking stuff, and my jewelry and my now clocks and all the things that make up my glorious gypsy life. And I got in the car, my 1978 Hi-Ace van, actually, and I drove towards the horizon. So now I'm driving. Of course, you know, when you're driving, there's a lot of time to think and to feel and I was doing everything I could to just stay really expanded. I was really in this place of, yeah, you know, I'm manifesting pretty good at the moment. Like I'm on my way. I did a hard thing, and you know, everything's sort of, you know, I'm on my way. Everything's going to be okay, right? And so anyway, I was about 3, 4, 5 hours into the trip, and then suddenly, I heard a gnarly sound come from the engine of my beloved 1978 Hi-Ace van. Now, I forgot to mention that I was living in this van. I'd been living in this van for about 2 years, gypsy vibes back in the day. And so, you know, money was a little bit special back then, Andy. You know, I basically just didn't have much of it. And so when I heard the gnarly sound come from my glorious van, not only did the wash of dread represent that perhaps I should have checked the oil, like me ex-boyfriend would have, you know, but also that, oh my goodness, like I live in this machine. Like this is my home on wheels. And so as I pulled off of the dusty road in the middle of the night, it was a winter night too, and I just knew things are going to get a little chillos. I just felt this dread washing over. Now, I'm sure some of our listeners here can recall a moment where the shift hits the fan, you're at a crossroads, plot twist, a scene change, and you wonder to yourself, how the actual fuck did I manifest this? What the actual... So,
Yes.
I had pulled over. I got in the back of my van. I had to move all of my festival bits and pieces out of the way. And I knew that I had to calm my jets. I had to cool my jets because I was so sad, Andy. My heart was broken. And I just suddenly felt like, oh, this is a sign, my ex-partner would have actually checked the oil. And that, not only that, I only had $20 to my name. I looked at my phone. There's no phone reception because I'm in the middle of whoop whoop, as we would say in Australia. And I was so upset with myself. And so I cleared this space. I lit a candle.
Yeah.
And then I started to do all of the things that we talk about in Wake the F Up. I started to think about being present. I started to think about trying to be grateful. All I could do was be so freaking upset and frustrated by the fact that my life at 32 years old, by the way, textbook failure, honestly, that I should know better. I should be further ahead. How the actual hell is this my reality right now? And so as I was sitting there and I was trying to be all Om Shanti because I lit this candle and I was like, this is the moment, right? And all I could feel was the pollution of momentarism. All I could feel was the density of the negativity, which were facts, by the way. Fact, you've got $20. Fact, you've got no phone reception. Fact, you just left your partner. Fact, you live in a van now that I know that the van has just been screwed by my neglect. Fact, right? So I'm sitting there in my own cesspool of non-nowness, and I start to feel into, the answers. And, I was thinking to myself, I've been to the seminars. I've stood on my head. I got the T-shirt. Come on, Andy Dooley. We should know better than this by now. And, but the tug of war of the momentarism was real. So I sat there and I realized, you know what? I've got to at least drag my consciousness to just being grateful right now. Just be grateful for something. And so I was trying to think of something. And all I could do was be annoyed with myself. Annoyed. So... and I was like, come on, Cat Dawes, you've got this. And then that's when I noticed my hands, my glorious 5 fingers on each hands. And I realized, I thought to myself, my life would officially suck far more if I didn't have hands. It was such a revelation for me. So I sat there in the back of the van, and for the first time in a really long time, I just decided to sit and actually appreciate my hands. If you're listening to our live situation right now, why don't you just take a little look at your hands? Like, when was the last time, friends, that you really looked at your hands, the beautiful lines on your hands, all of the things that you've touched, all of the things that you've created with these hands, the foods that you've eaten, the things that you've done? Like, the hands are like, this is sacred instrumentality, right? And so I sat there, and suddenly I started to feel this little smile on my dial that even though I had no money, even though there was no phone reception, even though my life at age 32 did feel like a textbook failure, I had 2 hands, and that this was good. This is very, very good. And so I sat there, and I know this sounds sort of loopy, right? But I was so desperate because I was trying to look for things to be grateful for, and it was really hard. It was really hard because I was just so annoyed. So then I started to think about, what else are you grateful for? If I could drag myself to being grateful for my hands, there must be something else. What is it? So I started to think about the amazing friends in my life. And I knew that eventually at some point, someone's going to come down this road on the way to the festival and see my high-ace van on the side of the road and pick me up. And I felt gratitude for that. I looked outside the window for a minute and I had a little chuckle at my sense of adventure. I legit had no idea where I was. And so in the middle of nowhere, there's me in the back of a van with my little single candle, feeling to myself things to be grateful for. Now, this is when things got a little bit cosmic, Andy. So I was sitting there And then, the momentarism would try and pop in
Yeah.
again, and I'd be grateful. And then the momentarism would pop in again, and then I'd be grateful. And I was feeling this tug of war. And that's when I saw in my mind's eye, as I took a breath, I saw my beloved favorite teacher in all of the cosmos. His name is Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. You guys should look him up, from Agape International Spiritual Center. And his face came to me in my mind, and he said to me, "What's trying to emerge from you? What do you need to become?" And that's when I realized that I was actually, in this very moment, being initiated into something different. And that's when I got out of the van and I ran out underneath the big starry sky, and I proclaimed to the universe that this is the day and now is the time, and something wonderful is obviously happening to me. What if this van breaking down and all of the heartbreak that I'm feeling, what if this is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me? Clearly it is. And so I announced my willingness. I took my vow to now under the starry sky, and I decided that instead of, now this is a really key piece, everybody, instead of trying to manifest my nowism projects coming true, or trying to manifest more money, or trying to manifest the new partnership, or manifest a house to live in, or manifest, instead of doing any of that, I was just going to pull my attention right into the present moment and become an epic condition for the universe, for the great source, the omnipotent, omnipresent, omniactive, great I am, to breathe me into whatever is my highest potential. And so then I started to play what I call the game of nowism. And I was grateful, and I was stretching, and I was just allowing myself to milk the moments for everything that it is. Fast forward, right? I got picked up by a dear friend of mine, Matt Lees. Andy's met Matt. He picked me up. He laughed at my situation, took me to the festival. I had a wonderful festival, real high vibes, lots of dancing. I didn't make that much money, but I was really in this space of, my life is good. I've got two hands. There's things to be grateful for here. What do I need to become right now? I need to become epic. I need to become expanded. I need to become willing and available and enthusiastic. And so I held this space. Now, on re-entry into my life from the festival, I started to feel that wash of negativity again, like, oh my God, where am I going to live? Oh my God, I don't have a car that works. By the way, I had to get the car towed away, and it was just a shambles. I was starting to feel the practicalities of life, and what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I was like, no, my job is to only focus on the nowness of the moment and offer to the universe the most epic vibrational offering possible. And so that's what I did. So as I was trying to work out, and this is a really good little exercise for all of our listeners, as I was trying to work out, how am I going to maintain this high vibe now that my facts are kicking back in, right? It's easy at a festival. Everybody's happy, man. Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
So, but like entering back into normality, into adulting is just very, very intimidating. So I start to think to myself, what is a good, like, fantastical little story that could happen to me that would make me feel like radical amounts of gratitude, like the life is working for me, not against me. Like, what could I imagine? So everybody in the audience now, if you just imagine, like, what is something that could happen to you that would represent like something working out for you, that the universe is on your side, that you're not alone, that there is an abundance here, that there is health and wholeness here. For me, because I had to take my van away to the funeral yard, the graveyard for bands,
Right.
I started to imagine that someone had given me a car. Now, because the idea of someone giving me a car, no strings attached, no guilt involved, to actually just, for me to rendezvous with what I needed in such a profound way felt a little bit like a lottery. It felt like, oh my God, what? Like, so grateful. And this is the energy. Like, tune into this energy, everybody.
Yeah, it's really good.
What? Because the nervous system, when something delicious happens to you, when you rendezvous with a great blessing, with a wonderful fortune, when someone is super, super, super generous to you without any sort of weird fine print, right? There's oh my goodness, thank you so much. Oh my goodness. And so while I was having a shower and while I was walking down the hallway and while I was doing the dishes and washing my hands, I practiced the energy of, oh my goodness, someone gave me a car.
Love it.
That's so epic. And what I was doing, Andy, and I, just for a moment, everybody, please tune into the spiritual technology that I was activating in this moment. This is a really important thing, because although this story is quirky and it's entertaining and all of that, there is something to extract right from this very point in this story. When I was practicing the what? Oh my goodness energy, that is my nervous system stretching, and my vibrational energy field is offering into the universe this feeling of, wow, oh my goodness, it's gratitude. It's the, oh my goodness, I did it, I did it, I did it. That's the energy, right? Now, when you be the energy of the answer, something epic happens in your field. Now, before I continue with the story, I want to place a little bit of fine print here for the audience. I want you all to really know something here. Yeah. I was not trying to manifest a car, okay? But what I was practicing was a story that would make me feel the energy of expansion. Oh my God, someone gave me a car. I can't believe that I'm so lucky that someone would just give me a car. And so I started to play with this. Someone just gave me a car, yeah. Someone gave me a car. Someone just gave me a car, yeah. And I used to even call my friends and I would say to them, oh my goodness, it feels so good to be given cars. And they just thought I'd lost it. Like they're like, wow, she's finally lost her Shizaki balls. But I just knew that by maintaining and sustaining an energy of expansion, that somehow that this was what nowism really is. This is what using the universal law is actually about. So instead of trying to manifest my nowism or try and get more money in the bank or manifest an actual car, what I was interested in was being the energy of the answers, being the energy of expansion. So I practiced, and this is a true story, for about 4 or 5 weeks, I practiced the energy of having been given a car. Fast forward the story a little bit again. I was standing at a Toastmasters event, which, by the way, Andy Dooley was the one who always encouraged me to go to Toastmasters. And I didn't know you at this stage, but I remember watching your Toastmasters presentations and I was thinking, yes, I want to be a speaker. How do you be a speaker? You go to Toastmasters. Okay. So I was at a Toastmasters thing and it was my turn to do a speech. And I did a speech on manifesting. And I just talked about like the universal law and being the energy of the answer. And I just like was playing with this sort of idea of being a speaker. At the end of my speech and after the end of the whole event, I went out into the car park. There's a little drizzle of rain and I was about to get on my little scooter. Someone had lent me a scooter. And there was a woman in the audience. She would have been in her early 70s who came over to me and said to me, Kat Dawes, I loved your speech on manifesting so much. You have a real natural talent. I was like, thank you so much. I was practicing receiving compliments. I was practicing feeling expansion. I was practicing being lucky, right? And so as I was standing there with the lady, I said to her, well, so what are you up to now? And she said, well, actually, I'm about to go to the airport. I'm flying to Melbourne because my sister is going to give me a car. And I was like, what? And then I started to feel a great celebration for this amazing woman who she's manifesting what I said I want. And then I was in such a celebration, Andy. I was saying to the universe, see, this sort of thing happens to people. And again, fine print, everybody. I didn't get jealous of the lady receiving the car. I didn't say to the universe, oh, why does this happen to other people and not to me? I went into instantaneous celebration that this woman was manifesting a car, just like I had been practicing in my mind and rehearsing my best case scenarios every single day for 5 weeks. So as I was standing there, I was like, that's a really wonderful blessing. And she said, I know my sister's given me a car. It's just such a beautiful, generous, outrageous thing to do, really. Then she stood there and she looked at me. And then she looked over at this little blue car. And then she looked back at me and she said, Kat Dawes, I don't know why, but I feel really drawn to give you my car.
Yes.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Now, what I want you to know, Andy Dooley, is that although this moment was so awesome, I didn't feel surprised because I had rehearsed receiving a car for about 5 weeks, every single day, multiple times a day. I was so in the energy of this expansion and this electric sweetness that when she gave me the car, it just felt like a logical next step. Mm-hmm. Now, this sent a ripple effect throughout my entire field because from this story, everything started to ripple out into the cosmos where I started to really understand the technology of manifestation.
That is beautiful, powerful. So many gems in that story. Thank you, Kat.
Yeah, this story goes on and on, but I feel like that's a really good place to pause while you share a story or two, Andy.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to pull out some key points for the listener because, where right now in your life, you're listening to the story, you just heard Kat's story, where could you start coming up with a playful little phrase? Kat had this phrase, someone's going to give me a car. Someone's going to give me a car, and she was dancing and playful about it. And what do you want to manifest? Do you want to manifest a vacation? Do you want to manifest someone's going to give me a job? I'm going to start my new business. I'm not sure what it is, but it's going to be amazing. It's going to be fun. It's going to be profitable. And Kat continued to play with that playful energy day in, day out, not like from a place of lack and, separation and limitation. She did it from a place of abundance. Like, this is a magical, friendly universe, and someone's going to give me a car because I live in a magical, friendly universe. She became the energy of it. And then when it happened, like she said, it just felt perfectly normal, logical. Of course someone is saying they're going to give me a car. Wow.
Someone's going to give me a car was an excuse for me to maintain a high vibe. I just needed any fantastical story that would help me practice feeling in my nervous system the energy of good things happen to me. Yes, energy. Thank you, energy. Like an energy of expansion and graciousness. And this is so important because so many times, and Andy's seen me throughout my, 10 years of this process, there are so many times where I'm trying to manifest something. I'm trying to make it happen. This story is the great, sort of demonstration of making it welcome instead of trying to make it happen. Like just being playful about it and having no attachment to even trying to actually manifest a car. That's what made this come in with specifics. And I think that's really interesting. When we really want something, it's very and we really, 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 really want something. And there's a bit of an ache to it. And I've got so many of those things throughout my life, whether it was a partnership or whether it was about my projects at Nowism and my characters and all the things when there's an ache and you really, 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 really want it, think about what's in the field when you feel like that. This car story, someone's going to give me a car. Yeah, someone just gave me a car. Woo! Like that energy was playful, it was flippant, and it was throwaway. I wasn't trying to make it happen, but I accidentally made it welcome. And I think there's something really profound in that.
Yeah, so I want the listener, you guys listening to this, look at your situation right now. Where are you aching and trying too hard? And where could you lighten your load, your energy, raise your vibe by telling a playful, fun story? And, a little bit of creativity, tune into your higher self, maybe do some journaling, pull out Inca, one of the characters in Nowism, and take this to heart because, I know you probably, even listening, you have a story like this, or a story like this, but you might start to think, well, that was then, and this is now, and things are different. It's harder, or I'm stuck in this thing, or or maybe you've developed something in your body, but yet the energy is still there. The magic is still there. It hasn't gone away. You haven't lost your mojo. If you can practice telling a fun, playful story about career, health, relationships, moving, starting a business, it's the magic is there.
I think that there's a really good bumper sticker here, and that is that you don't get what you want, you get what you're being. So be abundant, be expanded, be easy about it, be playful, be generous, be smiley, be creative. You get what you're being at the end of the day. And this is something that is really one of the hidden secrets in the art of manifesting, is that you've got to act as if it's already happened. You've got to play in the energy of who you would become. Remember in the van story when I said Michael Beckwith came to me, like, what do you need to become now? What do you need to become now? You know, what's trying to emerge from you? Happiness is trying to emerge. Abundance is trying to emerge. Like you want to be the energy of the answer. And this is why I created a game of Nowism, because you've got to be playful about this. You cannot be serious when it comes to manifesting, or else you're actually going to tighten the field and you're going to shut things down. You have to be flippant and throwaway. And I've learned this over and over and over. And it's a little trickier when you really, 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 really want something.
Yes, it is tricky.
But like we all have stories of manifesting the car park at the market on a Sunday morning when no one else could get a car park. It's because you're just being playful. You're just being easy about it, you know? So fun.
Yeah, I can tell a story that was a bit of wanting something, but then finding a way to play into it and just kind of work my way into it. And I remember when I decided that I wanted to be a professional speaker and I was going to Toastmasters, and I visualized myself winning contests and telling the story and hearing people give me great feedback and praise. And sure enough, I started winning contests, and I was kind of like, how am I winning these contests when when I was around people who I felt were just smarter than me, they were more professional than me, and yet I had found kind of my calling, and I really had a knack for storytelling and for putting comedy in there. And so I'm wanting to become a professional speaker, but I'm nowhere near a professional speaker. I want to become a life coach. I'm nowhere near it. I want to be an author. I can't even write a sentence without failing at punctuation. But I started practicing. I remember every morning riding my bike down to the lake near my house and practicing doing guided visualizations and pretending I was in front of audiences. And, doing a visualization for money, doing a visualization for love and romance. And I was recording my first audio program. And I kept visualizing myself being in front of audiences, speaking and getting paid. And then the opportunity came for me to do a one-man show at the Orlando Fringe Festival. And Fringe Festival is an awesome opportunity for any artist, speaker, entertainers, singers, performers, and anybody can do a show. And so I put together a one-man show called the Andy Dooley Show. And, I visualized selling out to audiences, and I was in a 200-seat theater. And my first show, there was like 6 people in the audience in a 200-seat theater. It was shocking. Anyway, I did all the shows, developed my speaking skills, got better and better. My last show had more people in it, like maybe 15 or 20 people, but I was doing it and I was taking action, and I was just excited about like learning how to speak, learning how to tell stories. And then I started doing events at Unity churches around Florida. Friday night, spiritual comedy. I would rent out the venue. I was now able to sell tickets online, which didn't exist before. Selling tickets online wasn't even possible, but now it was now possible. And so I could sell tickets online. I could drive people to my website and buy a ticket and show up at this Unity church somewhere in Florida. And so I was getting better and better at this. And then I remember thinking, I want to do more of this. I want to speak more. And one day I'm inspired to go through my emails, and I'm going through some old emails, cleaning out my old emails. And there's this email from a woman saying, I live in White Plains, New York. And I was thinking if you ever wanted to do an event in White Plains, New York, I could host you. I have a contact at the hotel. And I replied to this email that was sent to me months ago. And I said, I'm ready. Like, let's talk about like how we could do this. Wow. And so we booked the date, booked the event, and it was Friday night spiritual comedy, Saturday full day workshop. And I'd never done that before. And I was flying out of Florida and I was going to New York. And I felt like, wow, this is like really, like I'm really doing this and it's really happening. And I remember seeing my name outside on the marquee at the White Plains, what was it? It was the Crown Plaza Hotel in White Plains, New York. And like 150 people showed up. And my brother, Mike, helped me. He sent out an email to his list in that area, and people drove, people spent the night. And I remember being on stage that night, telling my stories and doing spiritual comedy. And I remember there was this moment in the audience where I was doing a guided visualization, and I had someone playing music in the background. And I remember everybody in the audience had their eyes closed and they were fully into it, like fully like doing the visualization, following my words. And I remember just realizing like, this is a deja vu. This is everything that I had been visualizing. And now it was a manifestation. And I also felt like this is bigger than me. This is beyond my ego wanting to be a professional speaker and manifest. This was like I was serving something bigger than me, and I was a channel for these words coming through and taking them on this journey of creating their vision for what they wanted to have in their life. And I just really locked it in, like I do create reality. This was something I've been visualizing and daydreaming about, and now it's become my reality. And I was just so thrilled, like it's real, like this stuff really works. And I was like, oh my God, like I am the speaker. I am doing it. These people were listening. They closed their eyes. It was amazing. It was amazing.
It's so good. I love how you said it. We felt like a deja vu. That's the same as when it was the next logical step. It feels like, and this is the brilliance about what Andy brings in his Manifestus Cafe and through all of his guided visualizations. There's a lot of rehearsal of these best case scenarios. There's a lot of like flexing the muscle. And I think that you actually are such a wonderful leader in this field, Andy, of like actually rehearsing best case scenarios but falling in love with that process. You know, you've created a living out of it now. It's so rad.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, even this past weekend, I did some comedy at a party, and I was a little nervous on how I was going to go because there's DJs and there's authentic relating. Julian, my friend, said, hey, there's this guy from Denver coming in and I need to move you around, so you'll be going on later. Like I didn't do my comedy set until 11 p.m., and it was down in the basement, which has been all decorated and furnished and stuff. And I was kind of concerned, am I going to get heckled? Are they going to give me their attention? But I visualized, no, best case scenario, Andy, best case scenario. See them loving it. See them embracing the comedy. And then it happened. And I was like, all right, this is part of the comedy show. And I had a really strong beginning. And like, I hooked them right from the beginning. I did about 10 minutes and they loved it. And it was wonderful. And I was like, wow, it really works. I was funny. It was uplifting. A couple jokes bombed, which was great. Like, because it contrasts the good jokes. So it was like, no problem. Like, I don't mind having a joke that doesn't fly because now I know that joke doesn't fly and I need to make it better. But it worked. It was just like, it's always working for you. And if you can, best case scenario, I've really been practicing that because of our podcast, Kat, and just because it's such we're always at a crossroads.
Yes.
Is it going to be worst case or best case? Let's put some energy and love and light and a little bit of vision and vibe into best case scenario.
Exactly. And sometimes we have to flex that muscle a little bit more than others. Sometimes they're already rocking it and it's easy to vision. It's easy to feel the expansion. It's easy to feel really uplifted and enthusiastic. Other times you got to drag your freaking consciousness to the present moment and actually induce. You got to induce the energy.
Yeah,
and,
being deliberate.
like in the back of the van that time, like I had so many facts that were dragging me down. But even though you've got all these facts dragging you down, to induce the energy of a best case scenario and to audaciously be the energy of like, what if things could work out? What if there was a creative flow here? What if there was abundance? And to try and drag yourself to playfulness, because it really does soften the field. And the sooner you can drag your consciousness there, the better, every time.
Yeah. And the thing to do is to do something playful, fun. And sometimes it can be so hard to just stop and go, I'm in the worst case scenario right now. My mind is going negative. Let me stop. Let me play some music. Let me go for a walk. Let me go drink a cup of tea. Let me take a nap. Let me meditate. And then say, all right, how would I like this to go? What would be fun? What would be really cool? Because the universe wants to give it to you. It'll give you the worst case scenario and it will give you the best case scenario.
Right. Yeah. And this is the thing. It's like, it's about, in the game of Nowism, I talk about how your energy of willingness can save the world. If you can at least get yourself to willingness, then all things are possible. But if you don't get to willingness, then watch out, because whatever you're feeling must amplify, because if you keep feeding it and getting into a momentum and thinking the thoughts and feeling the feelings, then it has to go down that other road, But if through willingness, even if the facts are really shit, and we're also, by the way, feel it to heal it. We're not saying like just glaze over and lean in the other direction, but rather like acknowledge, okay, this negative vibe is actually showing me something. And it's giving you clarity actually of how you don't want to feel. And then actually, but through willingness, being able to lean in the new direction, that is actually, I believe, what mastery is truly about. Being willing to take yourself into outside of your story for a minute, to feel into the truth of the expansion of who you really are, not who you're busy being in this little moment, banging around, throwing your toys at people, but rather, into this, in the actual quantum field of pure potential, like that's always true. It's always there, but it's just waiting.
Yeah.
Precious attention.
Yes, that willingness. So right now, as you're listening to this, thank you for listening to Wake the F Up podcast. Like, subscribe, share it with a friend. Ask yourself, am I willing to feel into the best case scenario? Am I willing to stop the madness of this illusion that I'm creating, and then I'm the victim and it's not working and I'm old or it's too late, and stop the madness, drop in with pen and paper or a meditation and write out the best case scenario. Visualize, come up with a simple little mantra that you can repeat. Like, someone's going to give me a car. Someone's going to give me a car. Yeah, someone's going to give me a car. What is someone going to give you? What opportunity, is one of your videos going to go viral? Is one of your writings or books going to catch on? Are you going to be invited to a special event where something magical is going to happen? Right? Let's get creative. Remember, we live in a fairy tale, and you are the actor. You are the hero of your story, or you can be the villain of your story, or you could be the martyr of your story. Who are you going to be in your story? And you've got stories to tell. Maybe even make a list of your manifestation stories, and then reread them and remind yourself of the magic. Those weren't flukes. You really did that. You became the energy. You have evidence in your own life. Yeah. You can say, I've done it before. I'm going to do it again. This is the part of the story where I take back control. This is the part of the story where I see best case scenario and I become the hero. This is the part of the story where I awaken to my divinity and I let go of the old and I embrace this new, because there's gifts, there's magic here waiting for me now.
I love that as soon as you start a momentum, if you can have one thought, you can have another, and then you can have another. There's really no excuse. Through willingness, if you can drag yourself to the first thought, then you will have another. but it's really up to you, you know. And as we share here in the Manifestors Cafe and also in the game of Nowism, just find some excuses to feel good. For me, the idea of someone giving me a car was just a fun, quirky thing that would help me rehearse a best case scenario vibrationally. Do the same and watch how the universe will wrap itself around your playful, energetic offering. And then it has to give you circumstances, people, places, things, physical equivalents that will represent the energy that you've been offering. It's so fun.
Yeah. So fun. So we're going to start to wrap this one up, and I'm going to share in the next podcast, which is going to be all about detaching from your desires. We're going to share more stories because stories are just magic. And yeah, thank you guys for listening, for joining us, continuing to, click that like button, ask questions in the podcast on social media. Kat and I are here for you with our collective Nowism, the cafe, one-on-one coaching. Just keep coming back and drinking from the well of Wake the F Up.
Yes, because we are fabulous. Big loves, richest now. See you in the next one.
Woohoo! Yeah, so that's the show. Thank you for joining us. Please subscribe, share it with a friend. We love you. Let's keep creating the good vibes, mastering our state of being, and making the best of everything.
If you want to know more about the great Andy Dooley and the Manifestors Cafe, you can check the links below. If you would like to know more about the game of Nowism and building that toolbox for your consciousness, then check us out. We'll see you there.
Woohoo!
Yeah, baby.